Hello and welcome back to EVE Online with me, Mark from DadX, and here we have another story of another Drake and another dead site. But before we get onto that, there's been a little break in service. We've just been really busy over here, and it's been a little bit hard for me to sit down and have the time and the quiet to make a decent video, so I didn't get around to it. But we're back. We've got lots of footage to come, and obviously we've all got this situation we're facing at the moment with the old C virus. I'm not too concerned personally. I've been ready for the T virus for over 20 years, so bring it on. But obviously we're locked down, we're being careful, we're looking after all our old people and old neighbours, etc., aren't we? And we're not going up and buying 100 packets of toilet roll and 100 packets of pasta. But enough of all that. Thanks very much to all of those who've been leaving very encouraging and positive feedback and comments and likes and getting involved in the Discord. And we're all spending a bit more time at home. If you're a bit stuck for company, you just want to chat or you want to talk nonsense, get into our Discord, find us in game and have a bit of a natter. One upside, of course, is that I'm spending a bit more time at home than I usually could, so we're going to be seeing quite a few videos come out. I have started a bit of a Fallout playthrough. I'm enjoying it. It's a game I enjoy. Have a look, please. Leave us the feedback. It's a bit of a laugh, bit of a diversion. It's something I can relax and have a bit more fun with, because the recording side of things there is so much lighter and easier than it is actually for these EVE videos. Not that I complain. I'm also still getting my head around this new video editing suite that I got at Christmas, and yeah, and recording different games in different formats is a good way of me learning, and I do like learning stuff. So I found myself another hydroponics site, 5 out of 10 dead site by scanning. Found it right here in Salin, so I'm going to pop out and have a look. I say another because I did mention in a previous video I found a dead site, or one of exactly these sites, with just the last room left, and that I'd managed to clear it with my Drake. We're going to see that later. Let's see how we get on with this nice new fresh one here in Salin, shall we? The Drake we've got today is basically the same fit that we used in the wormhole video. I don't show the rigs for some reason, but we've got 1 shield Purger and 2 shield extenders. We've got the Meta Arbalest heavy missile launchers with the Scourge heavy missiles. 59km range, that is something we're going to have to make the most of, most definitely on this site. We've got the target painter seller missiles, and the drones apply a bit better. A pair of large shield extenders to up our tank. Kinetic Deflection Field 2. And I didn't have a Tech 2-1 available, so we've got the limited thermal dissipation field and the 50 meganewton restrained Microwarpdrive. That's the one that doesn't increase our signature radius bloom by too much. Then we got a trio of ballistic control units 2, and the damage control unit has given way to a shield power relay 2. That increases the recharge rate of our shields by 25%. It does decrease the capacitor recharge rate by 35%, so we do have to bear that in mind. There is always a payoff. If we simulate, you can see we've got nearly 50,000 EHP and just over 310 DPS. So we've got quite a lot of tank, we've got a decent amount of damage. This site is still going to require a little bit of patience and a little bit of skill to work our way through. Kind of like the destroyers on the 3 out of 10s, but on a bigger scale. As you can see, we've got a EM hole the size of a pretty large hole, but this is made for this site. It's one of those builds. It's not something you want to get distracted and go and fight PvP. We had some comments about where they've tried to do what I do on Serpentis sites, on other sites, been caught out by the webs the angels use, etc. So in terms of the damage type you want to use, the way you want to build your tank, but the resistances and the EWAR they're going to deploy against you, yeah, there will be some variation, and you do have to bear that in mind. Right, so we're warping into the site now. The local is quite quiet right now. We've had quite a busy time of late, and that's during the time this video was recorded. So I've got a couple of people around, not really to come and join me if I get into a fight, because I've no intention to get into a fight in this ship. Maybe to buy me some time to get away. So we're going to keep an eye on the D-scan. We're going to get into the site and get cracking. It's undoubtedly going to take a bit of time. It's just a question of whether there's enough time for me to pick my way through it. So we'll get the D-scan open. The crow, of course, is Yepfar, the Sun, the Dex. He's come to bookmark the entrance to the site, so he's got it bookmarked. Okay. Personally, I've actually dropped a corp bookmark. I remembered to this time. So guys can pop up. I have told them I want to solo this site, so no one's supposed to be coming to help me do that. It's purely solo. If somebody starts hunting me, they can maybe get in the way while I get out, reship and go back out and fight them. Anyway, on the good old-fashioned EVE Uni wiki, we got all the information we need about this site, and indeed all of the dead sites and combat sites in the game. The first room, nothing shocking there. I think we'll be fine in here. We're going to speed it up. It's not going to be a challenge for our Drake. It's the second room and then the third room where we're going to have to put some thought into this. But anyway, let's just see how we get along. I remembered to turn on the kinetic and thermal dissipation fields, which is a good start. I'm just going to find a little place. This is obviously 4 times speed already. We're going to target the cruisers first. There's 3 battleships and a couple of battle cruisers. Going to be no challenge. Now the wiki says there's 21 frigates in this first room, and I'm really pleased that that is out of date. So that would be fun. It would make it a slightly different experience, but we've got what we've got, and let's just crack on with that then, shall we? So I'm going to target the cruisers first, just get them off the board. They're a bit quicker, probably going to close range and apply damage, and then we'll start eating our way through the battleships. Now I am aware that the last 4 E videos, including this one, have featured Drakes, Destroyers and Dead Sites. Don't worry, we're not turning into the 3Ds channel. It's a lack of a plan, not down to some kind of cunning plan. We have all kinds of shenanigans to be bringing your way soon, including kind of some little clippy kind of ones with some music maybe. Short and sweet, cheer you up, put a smile on your face. The little bits of footage that don't really fit into a whole video. Anyway, this is 4 times speed and we are slowly munching our way through these 3 battleships here. And no stress whatsoever, no damage really taken. I'm not sure why there are no frigates in this first room. We would have handled them with the drones and with the missiles. It would have been a little bit of a time-consuming exercise, but they're really flimsy and it really wouldn't have been much of a challenge. So I can't believe somebody's got onto this site and only killed the frigates in the first room. As is the case with the second site where the first 2 rooms are cleared, I checked with the guys and nobody's been around or seen anybody. So maybe this was a weird misspawn, maybe they've updated the site, maybe it's a bit more random. Who knows? Anyway, as you may see, we have a Tengu on the D scan, and it's not one of us. The Jake Monsky guy has come in. You can see he's flagged red. He's one of the guys we've been having a bit of a kerfuffle with lately. Basically, they seem to have a bit of an issue with one guy and won't let it go or something like that. I don't know, but we're always up for a fight. I'm just going to keep an eye out now. All I want to do is this site for the video. That is really what everyone's intention is here. And right now, Yetvar's going to come out in a Proteus and sit out on the gate. Really just to warn me, at least while I'm in this first room, in case the Tengu actually comes up. We don't know if he might have this site already bookmarked, it was here to be scanned, or whether he's going to need to combat probe me, if he indeed does even bother coming out to hunt. Anyway, with or without the frigates, that's the first room out the way. The second room, 11 battleships, 11 battle cruisers, 5 cruisers, 3 destroyers and some frigates. A little bit of a different deal. It's going to take a bit of picking through, but before I go in, we're just going to hang around out here. Yetvar's brought his Proteus into this room. He's more than happy to go 1v1 with the Tengu if he wants to come up after me. I'm too far away at the moment to really get involved in that engagement. We have got a couple of friends around. One's in a Drake, just a PVE Drake, he's just come into local, and there's a guy we've got in a Scythe floating around somewhere, which is a Logi ship. Any engagement is a bit of practice and a bit of a drill, so we'd like to take it all. But we also expect these guys to probably either log in some alts or get some friends or something. We very rarely see a fight with them where it doesn't escalate. So I'm going to hang out here for a little while. I'm looking for the combat probes on my D scan. I know they're out there, I've seen them already. I'm just checking for when they get very close on me. Stayed here for a couple of minutes and the situation hasn't changed, so I'm going to just go ahead and see if I can get on with this third room. Hopefully if they're not interested, Jake's busy, he's not going to undock and come and hunt me. I can try to pick my way through this room. Now there's a lot of the rattage going on here. We're going to kill the destroyers first. The sensor damping is going to be an issue in this room, and unfortunately it's the battleships doing it. So this isn't a case of just taking out the frigates. Oh, some nice screenshot opportunities there, look. Reminds me of a 1980s laser show in a nightclub. Now, as I was saying, it's the battleships that are actually going to be sensor damping us in this room. It makes it a little bit more hard work simply because we can't wipe them out as quickly as we could if it was the frigates doing it. So this is going to take a bit of time. It's going to be exactly the same kind of technique as we've used before with the destroyers on the 3 out of 10s of controlling the range, picking our targets and basically picking them off, and it does take some time. This site could drop hundreds of millions, so it can certainly be time well invested. So we're just going to try and settle in. We're still obviously keeping a very close eye on the D-scan on what is going on with the situation in local. It's distracting me both in the narration obviously and in the gameplay a little bit that is going on. But I'm still hoping that I'm just going to be able to get on and pick my way through this site. If only I'd got home from work an hour earlier, eh? But there you go, such is life. Eve Karma. So we're keeping an eye out. I've got my drones out. Nothing here will aggro on your drones. Your drones are pretty safe, it would seem, in this site. Even the frigates seem to leave them alone and just come out for you. So we're just going to pick off the frigates as we did the destroyers as they come out to us with the drones, and focus the fire on the missiles on the cruisers initially again because they're quickest to close range. Then the battleships, I think, because we're going to need to get some of this sensor dampening off of us. When it stacks, it cuts your range down so low you don't really want to go in close enough to apply damage because you're going to be taking quite a bit yourself. It's a Drake, it reacts very slowly in terms of navigation, so you need to be on the ball. If you find yourself you've got too close and you're suddenly taking a lot of DPS, it's going to be even harder to turn a Drake around and get out than it is a Cormorant. Back up to 4 times speed now as we settle in. As you see, we're not taking any scary kind of damage. We're completely in control of that as long as we're controlling the range. Nothing on these sites is going to scram you or point you. You've always got the option to run away and repair, and there's no shame in doing so, especially when you're starting out and you're doing it in a cheap ship. I am keeping an eye on my capacitor here. I have been using the Microwarpdrive to pull range as and when required. It almost runs out, but I catch it just in time. I've looked through the other 5 out of 10s, and I think this one with the sensor dampening is probably the most challenging EWA. I mean, the Blood Raiders, Newts, and maybe some of the webs are going to be a pain if you let them get close enough to get on you, but the range that they get on these sensor dampeners, especially with this fit and the Drake, is a little bit of, it's just something you have to manage. It's probably the biggest challenge of this room, is taking out the battleships. Now you'll see Yepfar has joined me in his Proteus. We basically, there's no sign of the other guys coming back out, but I've kind of called this in terms of trying to do this as a video of me doing the 5 out of 10. There's too much going on and I'm not paying attention to the site quite properly. But this does also illustrate, if you've got a mate, 2 Drakes will get through this so much quicker. You share the aggro. Now he's got the aggro. I'm not going to get sensor damped. I'm not going to take any damage. I can start hitting these battleships and battle cruisers from my maximum range. And you know, if the other guy who's taking the aggro gets a little bit battered, he warps out, goes to repair, you get the aggro, he comes back, does some damage, blah, blah, blah. Find yourself a friend and things will be so much easier for you in Eve, and there's plenty of ISK here to be split, I can assure you. Especially if you're at the stage of flying Drakes, you might get 400 mil out of this site easy each. And I am very sure that my Drake and I would have picked our way through this given enough time and without interruptions. And don't get me wrong, this is totally part of the low-sec environment and low-sec gameplay. You don't always get left to get on with what you want to do, and you just have to deal with it one way or the other. And the Tengu is back out on the D-scan. Let's see how this develops. I'm actually pulling my drones. They've got a couple more in local. We see now there's now got a Loki and a Nikitursa coming out after us. Discretion is the better part of valor. This Drake ain't made for brawling. And knowing that these guys aren't shy about escalating a fight all the way up to super carriers if it isn't going their way, yeah, we'll just leave them. They can have that site. They tell me they got 700 million off of it when they were bragging in local. But don't worry, Eve Karma will provide swings and roundabouts. What goes around comes around. And Karma provides. Now we found another site. As I had mentioned, I came up here. I was initially going to come out in Megillah when I scanned it, and I thought, no, let's see if a Drake can do it. So I've come out and found that the first 2 rooms are completely clear. There aren't even any wrecks. There's nothing. They've been absolutely wiped clean. So why not just cruise on through them and get onto the 3rd room? It's not an identical fit. It's a slight variation on basically the same fit. We've obviously got the core probe launcher fitted up there, so we can scan down some sites either in wormholes or here in K-space. And we've got the thermal dissipation amplifier 2 fitted instead of the target painter, just giving us a bit more thermal resistance. That's on top of the 2 active modules as per the previous fit. And the same rig, shield power relay 2, which reduces our capacitor recharge rate, remember, and I've got to get across these rooms, so I'm doing it a little bit burning and a little bit slowly so we don't have a low cap to deal with when we get into the next room. Right, finally we're warping into the last room, having slow boated our way here. We have to deal with the status weatherfire towers first, as you will see. Then we can primary the loot ship, which is the battle cruiser, and that's all we need to worry about. Unlike the other rooms, there's no need to kill everything in here. So I'm targeting up the loot ship first, then I'm finding the towers, picking my way through. There you can see the icons. They're the ones that are webbing us. They're the ones that have to go down first. We will take a lot of damage while we are webbed down to such a slow speed, which at the moment is under 10 meters a second right now, as those webs start stacking on us. So I've sped up the footage now 4 times speed. We just got to take down these 3 towers. I expect to take a lot of damage while we're doing so. And I'm quite happy to take down these towers, go and repair, come back, go after the loot. I do cycle the Microwarpdrive layer once. If you do look, I go up to the grand speed of 40 meters a second, but I'm really amplifying my signature radius, so don't do it. Don't try to counter a web with a Microwarpdrive. I did try to linger and take down a battle cruiser before I warped out. I didn't really need to, and I've cut it a little bit fine, but we're going to go off rep and head straight back. So we are warping back in. All we need to do is kill the Serpentis family enforcer. And he goes down pretty quick. I have switched fire here to the towers because they're putting out quite a lot of damage to me. You can see the inundation of bits of DPS I'm receiving, but that's fine. The tank is holding up. Right, I've taken down 1 tower. I've made the decision here just to go for the blitz, the smash and grab. I'm going to go for the guy. He's 42 kilometers away. I've got to get to him and get the loot without dying, which is good. I'm overheating. Want to kill him as quickly as possible, of course. He's actually coming out after me, and he's quite fast. He's faster than me, so he's closing range for me. I'm just trying to keep range off of as many of those ships as possible. As you can see, the damage is not at this point scary, but now we've got to turn around. We've killed him. I'm bookmarked the wreck just in case, you never know, and we're going to head back in to grab the loot. Right, we switch back to normal speed. You can see how quickly that damage is coming in. Well, the loot fairy isn't exactly smiling at us today. We've got the absolute bog standard loot off of this site. It's the Overseer's personal effects worth about 44 million. So we've missed out on potentially hundreds of millions of faction loot. But that is the way the game plays, isn't it? What can I say? But I think I've shown the Drake can survive the final room of the 5 out of 10. I'm sure we can pick our way through the second room of the 5 out of 10. It will take some time, and one day I shall demonstrate it. But for now, the Drake, we're pushing the limits here. I would probably, I'm going to recommend that you do it in the best ship you can. Don't hold back, guys. But for us alphas, the Drake's probably the best PVE ship you're going to get your hands on if you're not spending out for a faction ship like a Gila. And learning how to fly a Drake, learning how these techniques of kiting, of range control. I've not gone into much detail in this video, but I did in the Destroyer videos about how to kite and control your range and why and how, etc. Have a look at those if you want to get into a bit more depth. But for now, we're going to leave you in peace. So please leave us a comment. I hope you've enjoyed this or found it useful, probably more entertaining on this particular occasion, maybe watching me getting chased off of sites such as low sec life, as I say. If you have liked it, please do leave it a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already, and stay in touch, because that's just the kind of encouragement we like. And whatever's going on, please keep yourself safe, look out for yourselves and each other, and remember, even is believing. Have fun, fly safe, watch a Fallout video if you've got a bit of extra spare time. Let me know what you think, I'm really interested to know. Take care, goodbye.